guys, either way here, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to bring you guys my Premier League Team of the Season predictions. With the season ending in around a month's time and Team of the Season coinciding with that, I think now is the perfect time to start doing predictions, not just for the Premier League but for all the major leagues, and that's what I'm going to be doing over the next week or so. Now I did this with the help of you guys over on Twitter. You can go and follow me, there's a link down below in the description. I did loads of polls asking who you thought should be included, so it's a mixture of my opinion and also your guys' opinion too, and of course lots of stats backing it all up. If there are any players that you disagree with, which I think is normal because there are loads and loads of players who perform consistently and it's hard to narrow them down into a squad of 23, let me know down below in the comments. And without further ado, let's go on into it. Starting off with the goalkeepers, the first of them is Alisson. He's kept the most clean sheets of any keeper in the Premier League so far this season with 17, and that pretty much cements his position in the team of the season. We've then got Ederson. He's second when it comes to clean sheets with 16, and him and Alisson are just head and shoulders above the rest of the keepers in the Premier League when it comes to that stat, which is what you look for in a goalkeeper. Conceding the fewest goals is of course what you want, and they're way ahead of the others. Kepa is third and he's only kept 11 clean sheets, and then you've got a few keepers all around 10 or 9, so Alisson and Ederson, it's going to be between them for the Golden Glove, and I think they're both pretty much guaranteed to get into the team of the season. The likes of David De Gea, Lloris, a lot of those keepers just haven't really had the best of seasons by their high standards. But I've also included Fabianski. Although he's not up there when it comes to clean sheets, his save percentage is amazing. He makes so many saves, the most by any keeper in the Premier League this season, and if it wasn't for him, West Ham would be doing a lot worse. He's been so important for them in so many games, and I think he's pretty much guaranteed to get in there as that third choice, and I think he could also get into the most consistent team of the season, having not picked up an inform so far in FIFA 19. Now moving on up to the centre-backs, I've only gone with 3 because there weren't too many outstanding performers to pick from, and there were loads and loads of good forwards I wanted to include, so I've narrowed it down when it comes to defenders. You will see a few in the reserves at the end of the video, but for now I've just gone with 3, and the first of them is Virgil van Dijk, who's guaranteed to get into the team of the season, having been the best defender in the league this season and arguably in world football as well. I think this card will be even higher rated than the team of the year, a 96 or even 97 rating overall with some crazy stats, and he is nailed on to be in the team of the season. We've then got Aymeric Laporte, another player who's guaranteed to be in there. Probably been the second best defender in the league this season. City and Liverpool have had the best defences by quite some way, so you will see a lot of players from them, especially defensively. And then finally we've got Willy Boly from Wolves, and they've been outstanding this season, especially defensively. They're currently 7th in the league, and their defensive form has been great. I believe outside of the top 4, they have the best defence, and he's probably been their best defender. Doherty's also been brilliant, and you'll see him towards the end of the video, but for me, Boly is very likely to get included. You've also got Fabian Schär from Newcastle. He's been great. I picked between Boly and him, and given Wolves have been so good this season, I wanted to include some more of their players, so he's in there, but you could also see Fabian Schär and a few other players, but as I said, they will be mentioned at the end of the video when I go over all the reserves and players who could also potentially get included in the team of the season. Next up, we've got the fullbacks. So I've gone with 2 from each side of the pitch, and we're going to start off on the left with Andrew Robertson, who's been arguably the best left back in Europe this season. He's chipped in with 8 assists in the league, and him and Alexander-Arnold bombing up on each side for Liverpool have been so good for them, contributing a lot going forwards and also defensively. He's got an upgrade, a couple of informs, lots of different special cards and ultimate teams, so you can guarantee he's going to get into the team of the season and he's going to have an amazing card. We've then got his Liverpool teammate Alexander-Arnold. He's also got a lot of assists and been great defensively. The issue with him is he's got a future stars card that is 89 rated, and given he's got quite a low rated base card, I'm not sure whether or not he'll get a team of the season card that's the same rating and has the same stats as the future stars, or will be high rated. But given he's so low rated normally, I don't think he's going to have a crazy high rated team of the season, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Then for the second choice left back, I've gone with Luca Digne. Interestingly enough, according to WhoScored.com, he's actually been the best left back in the Premier League this season, which is weird because Robertson's got so many more assists and has kept more clean sheets, but not sure how they work that one out. But he has been very good. He will have a really nice, well-rounded card. and would be a little bit cheaper than Robertson, but a French left back in the Premier League would be very good for Ultimate Team. And then finally, the second choice right back is Wan-Bissaka. This card will be amazing. He'd be so quick. He's been brilliant this season for Crystal Palace. Really good going forwards. His dribbling's been great, and then defensively, he's made so many interceptions and tackles. There have been a lot of different players on each side of the pitch who've been very good this season. Pereira's another one. Statistically, again according to WhoScored.com, he's been the best right back, but I had to include Alexander-Arnold and Wan-Bissaka. We've got Doherty as well, who's been brilliant, but I did a poll, and Wan-Bissaka and Alexander-Arnold won it by quite some way. No one really wanted to see Doherty or Pereira in there, so that's why we've got these two. But there are so many good options here. I'm sure a lot of you will disagree, but these are the players I've gone with. Next up, we've got the central midfielders, and just like with the centre-backs, I didn't feel Next up, we've got the central midfielders, and just like with the centre-backs, I didn't feel there was a huge variety of players to pick from, and I had so many forwards I wanted to include that I've narrowed it down, only gone with a 3, but it's a very good trio. We've got Paul Pogba, who will have an insane 96, maybe even 97 rated card. He didn't have the best starts of the season under Mourinho, but as soon as Solskjaer took over, he was outstanding. I believe he went 12 games in a row getting goals or assists, and he was unplayable at that time, and he's kept that form up. He's been very good recently as well, bar a couple of anomalies like the Wolves game, but he's got so many special cards, so many great performances so far this season. I think he's very likely to get in there. It will be his first team of the season card at United, and it will be insane. 5-star skill moves, very good all-round stats. He will be one of the best players on Ultimate Team. We've then got Fernandinho, such an important player for Manchester City. In his absence, they lost consecutive games against Leicester and Crystal Palace, but since he's got back into the team after his injury, they've been far better defensively and going forwards. He's such a key member of that squad, and he definitely deserves a team of the season card. It's going to have some amazing stats, especially defensively, and the reason people don't really use him that much typically on Ultimate Team is because of his pace. With the team of the season, that will be boosted, and it would be an amazing card. And then we've got his Manchester City teammate Bernardo Silva. In the absence of De Bruyne due to injury, he's played centrally, and he's suited that role so well. Chipped in with a lot of goals and assists in big games, and he's guaranteed to get into the team of the season. He's been so good. He's going to have a really nice card. Good boost to that dribbling and passing, getting that near to 99. Good shooting and pace as well. It's going to be a very nice card. Now this is where we start to have a huge variety of players with some really big names in here. It's the wingers first up, and we've got a mixture of left and right sided midfielders, the majority coming from the left, but the majority of big performers in the league this season seem to have been wingers. Start off with Eden Hazard, who's been outstanding, especially towards the beginning of the season. He's been Chelsea's best player by a mile, really has dragged them through what would otherwise be a very bad season for them. They're fighting for the top 4, which is currently a very close race between them, United, Arsenal and Spurs to get those final 2 positions. He's been very good. He's pretty much guaranteed to get into the team of the season, and his card is going to be amazing. Probably 98 rated, that's what I'd give him, with some amazing stats. We've then got Raheem Sterling, who is one of the front runners for Player of the Year, along with Virgil van Dijk and Aguero. He's currently, I believe, the second favourite. He's been so good. His form just keeps getting better and better. His form for England's now very good too. He's got a hat-trick just a couple of days ago, and this card would be amazing. 99 pace is pretty much guaranteed, and some really nice stats across the board with probably a 97 rating. That's what I've given him. It would be amazing. We've then got Sadio Mane, who I believe is the joint 3rd top scorer this season in the Premier League. He's got 16 or 17 goals. He's been very good. He's probably been Liverpool's best attacker this season, better than Salah, better than Firmino, yeah, very good. A lot of important goals in the Champions League and Premier League, and I think he's definitely guaranteed to get into the team of the season. We've then got Heung-min Son. This card would be insane. He's a very good player on Ultimate Team because of the 5-star weak foot, the skill moves, the height, the strength. He's just a very meta player, and this team of the season would be insane. I'm not entirely sure if he'd be a striker or a left-sided midfielder because he's played both of those positions a lot this season. He really has mixed it about, very versatile, but I think most people would probably want him to be a striker because you could play him anywhere centrally, but I'm not sure. I put him on the left hand side just because I already had so many strikers, but either way he would be an amazing card. And then we've gone with Ryan Fraser, who's got the 2nd most assists of any player this season so far in the Premier League, playing for Bournemouth, who've had a very good season, especially going forwards. They've played some really good football, scored a lot of goals, and he's definitely one player that I did want to include from them. They had a couple of others, but I couldn't quite work them in. but given how many assists he's got, given how good he's been going forwards, I just had to include him in the squad. But ultimately, we've got the strikers. Yes, it's not the final set of players because I've got a few notable mentions and players who didn't quite make the cut but could potentially get into the team of the season that I'll show you in a moment. But first up is Sergio Aguero, the current top scorer in the Premier League with 19 goals and one of the front runners for the Player of the Year award as well. I've given him a 98 rating. This card would be insane. He's the favourite for the Golden Boot, and the stats on it would just be crazy. I mean, everything you want for a striker: pace, dribbling, finishing, passing, physical. He's got it all. He'd be probably the best striker on Ultimate Team. We've then got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, another insane card. He's currently the second top scorer, the joint second top scorer, along with a lot of the other players you can see right here. 17 goals. This card would be so good. 99 paces guaranteed and some really good stats across the board. We've then got Harry Kane, also on 17 goals. He would have a very nice card too, really good shooting and physical. Over the past couple of seasons he's always been up there. He's always had team of the season cards, and this year will be no different. And then finally we've got Mohamed Salah, who's had a bit of an off season, especially as of late. He hasn't scored now for 10 games, but he's still up there. He's still the second or third top scorer. I think he's actually got 17 goals, so the joint second top scorer, which given he's not scored for so long, is still fairly impressive. He's played a lot of games as a striker. He's played on the wing as well. I'm not sure. You could see him and Son swap places, so he could be amongst the wingers and then Son could be one of the strikers. I'm not sure why I put him as a striker here, because I think he's played a lot of games there, and that's where he scored a lot of his goals this season, and it would still be a very nice card, even though as of late his form hasn't been the best. And then finally I've gone with Raul Jimenez. There are quite a lot of players who could occupy this 5th place. You've got Vardy, who has scored more goals than Jimenez but has got a lot less assists. You've got Lacazette, who's also outscored him but has got less assists, and I think has been outshadowed more by Aubameyang and has had less of an impact for his team. You've got Rashford as well. You've got Callum Wilson. There are loads and loads of strikers who have been good this season, but Jimenez, all round, his game has been very good. He's contributed with a lot of goals. I believe he's got 11 or 12 in the league. He's got 8 assists as well, which is very impressive. And he's been the key forward player for Wolves, who are currently 7th in the league. And given just how good they've been, given how they're really punching above their weight as a newly promoted side, I just had to include at least a couple of their players. I've got Jimenez and Bolly. There were the likes of Neves as well, who could have maybe got in, Doherty too. Lots of other players there, but Jimenez, I just had to include him because of how good his side have been this season and how good he's been for them. He's also performed very well against the top teams Wolves have as a whole, and he's often been the player getting the goals and getting them points against the top 6 teams. Finally, we've got the notable mentions for players who haven't quite made the cut but could very easily get into the team of the season if their form is good over the last couple of games. These are also the types of players you can maybe see getting a weekly objective card available from playing the game during the week or so they'll be available during team of the season for the Premier League. So we start off with Eriksen, who's got the 2nd most assists so far with 10, level with Fraser, just behind Hazard, and his form as of late hasn't been amazing and he hasn't got that many goals this season, but if Tottenham manage to clinch maybe 3rd place or at least just get into the top 4, you could see him included. We've then got Alexandre Lacazette, and there are a whole host of strikers there who are all fairly even when it comes to their goal contributions. They're all behind the big kind of 5 or 6. You've got a lot of players from 19 to 16 goals. So you've got Aguero, Salah, Kane, you've got Aubameyang there as well, Mane, Sterling. And then behind that you've got a lot of players on kind of like 10 to 12 to 13 goals. I think Lacazette's got 13. You've got Rashford on about 10 or 11. Richarlison's on a similar amount. Vardy's on 12. You've got Jimenez, who's on a similar amount too, but has a lot of assists, which is why I included him. But yeah, it's really going to come down to the last couple of games, which of these players comes out on top and has the best form. You'll probably see one or 2 of them included. We've got Felipe Anderson, who's been fairly inconsistent. Initially, he was very good, but his form's really kind of died off, as has West Ham's, so I'm not sure about him. It's going to come down to those last few games. We've got Gylfi Sigurdsson, who has scored a lot of goals, got a lot of assists for Everton, who performed fairly well, but I didn't know if he'd performed as well as some of the other players, so I didn't know whether or not to include him. It's going to come down to those last few games, but there weren't too many central midfield options, so he could definitely get in there. Rashford and Richarlison I've already mentioned. They've both scored a decent amount of goals, but there are just so many strikers and forwards who have scored more, so it's hard to decide whether or not to include them. Same with Vardy. We've got Doherty, who's been brilliant, but there have been so many good right backs this season. Semedo is not even getting into the notable mentions, although he's been great. But yeah, we've got Wan-Bissaka and Alexander-Arnold taking the two kind of main positions. That's why Doherty's not getting in there. According to my poll, everyone went for those two. Doherty really didn't get a chance, so he's not in there. But I think this card will be amazing. I'd like to see him in there because he would have some very, very nice stats. We've then got Fabian Schär. He's another player who plays for one of those slightly lesser teams who've performed really well, especially defensively. Outside of the top teams, the top 6 and Wolves, Newcastle have the best defensive record, and Schär's been very instrumental behind that and has also scored a few goals going forwards too. And then we've got Maddison, who's created the most chances of any player in the Premier League this season. He's been very, very good in the midfield, created a lot of chances, got a lot of assists and a fair few goals as well for Leicester. And there are lots and lots of other players who could get in here. I could name another kind of 10 or 20, and they all stand a chance of getting into the team of the season. Any one of these players could. It's going to come down to those last few games. I had a lot of people suggesting other players too. We've got David De Gea, for example. I just didn't really think he merited an inclusion because, yes, he's a really good keeper, but he hasn't really had a good season by his high standards. He's made quite a few mistakes. And when you look at clean sheets, De Gea is 9th. You've got the likes of, I think, let me just check quickly. I think Martin Dubravka's got more clean sheets, Kasper Schmeichel, Neil Etheridge, players for teams right down at the bottom of the table have more clean sheets than him, so I didn't really think he merited an inclusion there. But there we go. That is my Premier League team of the season, 23 players. We've got some potential kind of weekly objective players as well, some reserves. And there are loads of others, but let me know down below in the comments what your team of the season is, which players do you agree with, which do you disagree with. Let me know down below. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, let me know what league I should do next, and I'll catch you guys later. Take care.